Alright, so now I'm going to move on to the next one. And these guys probably get the most exposure out of the three. I'm talking about zombies. Zombies, you know, they're everywhere these days. They are probably the most exposed out of the three monsters. And, you know, it's starting to annoy me. It really is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love zombies. I'm a big zombie fan. I love anything to do with zombies, but sometimes it's like, enough's enough. Now, as we all know, zombies are probably the most also simplistic of the three monsters. You get bit by a zombie. Basically, dead guys rise from the grave by some other, like, magic or, you know, supernatural or virus. Actually, they've been using the virus technique and not much of the supernatural technique in a while. I mean, but yeah, dead rises from the ground, somebody gets bit by the dead, they become the dead. Very simplistic, and you know, zombies don't have any motive. They just want to eat. That's it. Yeah, they just want to keep eating. That, like I said, most simplistic of the three monsters. Also the most overexposed. I mean, we've seen them in movies, anime, manga, cartoons, comics. In fact, even we got a new TV show based around zombies, The Walking Dead, based off the award-winning comic book. You know, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, you know, maybe they should calm down with the zombie stuff, because every time I go to Comic Vine, they always have this week's of comics, and at least one or two of those titles a week have zombies in them. It's getting kind of, you know, repetitive. It feels like it's getting kind of repetitive, in my opinion. It just, you know, it feels like... I mean, I understand that zombies have a lot of allure to them. And don't get me wrong, like I said, I like zombies, but, you know, even I won't go... I'm not a zombie completist, you know? You know, that... it falls under, you know, these guys are getting more exposure than Deadpool. If you can overexpose yourself more than Marvel's money wagon, there's something wrong here. But yeah, these guys are in every. I've seen them in a lot of movies, a lot of low budget movies, especially for those who watch the Ghost House Underground stuff. They're in a lot of those. You know, we're also getting zombie movies coming next year. I know we're getting a World War Z movie. I know we're getting that. J. Michael Straczynski's directing it, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, and let's not forget, you know, George A. Romero. George A. Romero is like the godfather of zombie movies. I love George A. Romero movies. You know. You know, the other places where we're seeing a lot of zombies is the video games. In the recent years, zombies in video games have just spiked. It's, I mean, I could name off a few. Left 4 Dead, the upcoming Dead Island, what's the name of the game that Frank West... Oh yeah, Dead Rising, the game with Frank West and now Chuck Green in it. Resident Evil 5, you know... I could keep going on and on about the number of zombie games that have, you know, spiked in the past few years. And I'm even at some points, I'm like, this has got to stop. I mean, I love that people, you know, the zombie genre is getting bigger and bigger, but, you know, it falls under, it just feels like, you know, that, it feels like, you know, it gets like you're going to hit a burnout at one point or another. And, you know, I might hit that burnout with zombies at one point or another because, you know, let's face it, to keep everything, you know, fresh, no pun intended, to keep zombies fresh, actually, yeah, that sounds like an oxymoron right there. Keep zombies fresh, you know, you got to do a lot of change-ups. And, you know, but I respect that, you know, zombies are pretty much the most basic out of the three, and you can't really do much, but, you know, sometimes it's actually kind of cool when you change it up. Now, for me personally, I like the traditional, slow. Well, I wouldn't say slow. I've actually grown a fondness for the fast zombies, like in the remake of Dawn of the Dead and the 28 Days Later movies. You can't really beat around the bush. Those were zombies, not infected. They were undead. I'm not going to make an argument of that, but we all, as much as they call it the 28 Days movies, yeah, you can't really 28 weeks and 28 days later and 28 weeks later, you can't really call them the infected. They were shot. Some of them got shot and they got right back up. So if you get shot in the chest and you get back up, you're a zombie. And even if people who call it, yeah, it's a zombie movie. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna ramble about that. Yeah, I actually grown a fondness for the fast zombies because it really changes up the game. You know, it's a real good game changer. You know, you have something that you could waste a whole magazine on. Magazine clip on like a automatic rifle. Aim for the chest. It's not if it keeps it's gonna come right back up, and it's running at you. It's not like with regular zombies that are just slow and going, ooh. You have plenty of time to outrun them unless, you know, you get cornered or they just overwhelm you. But with fast zombies, you're screwed. You have to be like an athlete to outrun fast zombies, and that's why I've actually kind of liked the idea I've actually grown a liking to faster zombies over slower zombies, because that, like I said, that's a good game changer. It really changes up the, your battle plan. Like, because traditionally zombies are always, just walking corpses. All they do is just walk. But when you have something that moves and it wants to do nothing but eat you, that's going to be a problem. Let's also take a look at, evolved dead. What I'm talking about is kind of like the monsters the new kind of zombies we see in like the new Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare game, like we see in Left 4 Dead, and the Resident Evil games, where we see some of the zombies have like an evolution to them, like they have like powers. That's kind of cool too, but it kind of bothers me when they overdo it. It just kind of like irks me when they, overdo that shtick. I'm not saying it's bad, it just kind of bugs me. And, yeah. What else is there? Now, I've also noticed that, anime is getting more into zombies. Anime, as we all know, High School of the Dead. Probably, it's frickin' awesome. Because it's a, let's face it, let's not beat around the bush. It's a guy's anime. Let's not... High School of the Dead, it's a guy's anime, let's face it. But yeah, but sometimes even sometimes when I look at comics these days, I look at especially in the independent comics. I'm moving on to comics now, but when I go into the independent comics, I shit you not, this is real. When I went into the independent comic books section in the bookstore a couple days ago, there was exactly 7 books with zombies in them, where zombies were like the main focus, or something like that. I was like, wow, this is taken to a whole new level. It's astonishing. So that you can understand where I'm coming from. I'm not saying it's bad, because there are, in my opinion, if you do zombies right, if you make a good zombie story rather than, it's just nothing but a mindless gore fest, but if you have like a good survival tale to a zombie outbreak, it's good in my opinion. That's why I like the Walking Dead comic book series and the TV show so well. I really like that, because it's not just like, oh, mindless gore fest. It's a good survival story. That's what zombie movies have become, survival movies. And I really like that. Yeah, for good zombie movies, it's no longer just considered a zombie subgenre. It's a survival movie now. Because you're not just surviving the living dead, you gotta survive in the environment, new conditions. You don't have a TV anymore. You don't have a government to have a big army to help you. You don't have anything but yourself at this point, at that point. So, that's why I think that's why, it's considered a survival movie now, because you're not just surviving zombies, you're surviving everything else. But if it's just like a mindless gore fest, like, oh, it's just a guy going around and blowing up zombies all the time, yeah, that's going to be less than interesting for me. But, you know, I think actually they should slow down on zombie stuff for a little while. I think it's actually because of the Walking Dead TV series that has, you know, kick-started this whole zombie craze. But maybe if we slow down a bit, because I have seen just enough zombie movies for a while. But let's face it, there are some really good ones out there, like even Shaun of the Dead, best freaking zombie comedy ever. Zombieland, in my opinion, gets number 2. That's a second. Yeah, Zombieland gets second place. Shaun of the Dead gets number 1 spot. But there's some other good. I will enjoy a zombie movie if it's a comedy or a survival movie. Because sometimes it's just too damn funny to watch people run from zombies screaming like a bitch, or you know regular guys or regular people who have no idea what to do. It's just funny. Sometimes it can be zombies can be either really scary or really funny, and I really like that. So, yeah, I think I've pretty much said my piece here. But how do you guys feel about zombies in the media these days? Overexposed or not enough? Or what kind of zombie movies do you like? Let me know.